Hello, and welcome to another episode of TEAtalks, where we explore groundbreaking ideas shaping the future of accounting and financial technology. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic, the convergence of triple entry accounting and blockchain technology. But before we start, let me remind you that the second Triple Entry Accounting Conference is on April the 25th to 26th this year in Malta. And in advance of the conference, we're hosting a series of short talks on current topics and activities in tea. Please come to tconf.org to get more information and purchase your tickets. So, joining us today, I'm delighted to welcome Juan Ignacio Ibañez, one of the authors of a recent paper, REA, Triple Entry Accounting and Blockchain, Converging Paths to Shared Ledger Systems. Juan, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to introduce yourself and say a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you, Rhian. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Juan Ibáñez. Like you said, I'm the Chief of Staff of the DLT Science Foundation, and I've been doing research in blockchain, supply chains, and sustainability for many years. And I've taken, since a few years ago, an interest on triple entry accounting and accounting technologies that are based in blockchain.
Great to have you here. So can we start with some basics, please? Can you explain what triple entry accounting, or T, is and why it's so transformative?
So, triple entry accounting is a revolution in the paradigm of accounting that rests on a shift in bookkeeping. Basically, we change the bookkeeping that is at the core of the accounting by placing cryptographically signed messages at the core. So we create a shared transaction repository that all of the parties in the system can rely on. You use signed receipts at the core of the system. This is very transformative because everybody can have the same records in a provable manner, introducing intrinsic reconciliation and demonstrable reliability by design, which even makes some of the functions of the traditional double entry system redundant.
That's an excellent foundation, thanks. Now, your paper highlights the resource event agent model, REA, as an important precursor for T. Could you explain how REA fits into this evolution?
Oh, yeah, of course. So, REA is an accounting school devised in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And the founder of REA, William McCarthy, he wanted to change how companies did their accounting. He really disliked how, in a company, each department's records were useless to other departments because they were made in the perspective of each particular department, and that meant every department would create their own set of records. And these records, while they should match in theory, they never matched in practice. So he wanted to solve all of these problems at once, introducing a database, a single database, for the entire company to use, where everything would be recorded at the most granular level. A few years after this, he extended this work to value chains, to create databases that could be shared across companies, what you would call intercompany accounting. And this is an idea that actually influenced triple entry accounting later on.
That's so interesting and, of course, so relevant to today's interconnected digital environment. Um, could we just move to the idea of blockchain technology, which you describe as a game changer for T? How exactly does blockchain enhance the capabilities of triple entry accounting?
Well, that's interesting and an interesting question because blockchain is an implementation of triple entry accounting and at the same time is an enhancer of triple entry accounting. So on the first side, blockchain was influenced, specifically Bitcoin was influenced by triple entry accounting, but at the same time, is actually making some features of triple entry accounting better. Basically, TEA introduced reliable shared records across parties, but you still needed a role for a third party, somebody in charge of timestamping, of ordering, and just placing an external signature on the signed receipts, demonstrating that everything was all right. And the introduction of the blockchain decentralized this last bit, which made the whole system, the triple entry system, fully trustless.
Yes, and that brings me on to my next question, which is that we often refer to blockchain as a single source of truth. How does that concept tie into TEA, and broader accounting innovations?
Well, it ties in perfectly because the single source of truth is really the outcome of triple entry accounting. Basically, having a single source of truth means you have intrinsic reconciliation, which means that you cannot have discrepancies across records. By definition, you cannot have them. And for accounting, this is really revolutionary. It reduces costs massively because discrepancies lead to lots of costs in accounting, but also makes the records perfectly reliable and they're shared at the same time, which makes a lot of other applications possible. Applications that in other contexts it would not make sense to have in the first place, like real-time auditing, provenance tracing, and even the introduction of IoT, Internet of Things devices. It makes more sense if you have an intrinsic reconciliation layer at the basis.
Those are all amazing use cases. Can we think maybe about specific industries or situations where blockchain enabled TEA is particularly valuable or disruptive?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would especially think, of course, of auditing, right? Auditing as an industry. Um, Basically, when you have a complete, granular, and reliable record at the core of the accounting system, this really changes the auditing profession because you get rid of sampling, you get rid of delays in auditing. Basically, you can do auditing in a real-time fashion. It can be whole population based. Basically, auditors can spend their time doing actual intellectual work instead of investigating samples of records to see if the records are reliable. Other industries we could maybe think of are, of course, supply chains. This is a much bigger enterprise. We need to see if they will succeed due to how complex supply chains are. But if this succeeds, supply chains would also be massively more efficient due to intrinsic reconciliation.
Really, really interesting use cases. Thanks. Let's look ahead now. Do you think that blockchain enabled triple entry accounting could become the global standard for accounting? What's currently standing in the way of that? What do you think we need to overcome to make that happen?
I think that it can. I think that it will. It's not necessarily bound to happen. The future's not written. But I do think it's very likely that this does happen, especially in an era where we have cheap communication, cheap information sharing, an internet-based world, and an era where the main challenge is really demonstrating the reliability of the information. So, what is the hurdle or what could make this difficult? Well, the main challenge that we have with triple entry accounting adoption is onboarding. Basically, how do you onboard practitioners to a new system on the fly? Because you cannot ask people to stop everything that they do, unlearn everything that they know, and switch to a new system. That's not going to happen. So you need to introduce the right adaptations to the current system on the fly so that people continue using the new system with adaptations until you switch. Something like the Ethereum merge. It's difficult. Like it's like refueling a plane in the middle of the air. You can do it, but it's a challenge.
Great explanation, thanks. Let's turn to the conference for a minute. You presented at the first T conference, of course. Could you tell me why you decided to speak there and how you found the experience?
Well, I've not just written one paper on triple entry accounting. Actually, I've written several. I've been just craving the opportunity of presenting about my work and sharing with like-minded people, people that are in the middle of the industry, not just academics, but also practitioners, and of course, Ian and Todd, the parents really of triple entry accounting themselves. It was really a great experience the first time, and I can't wait for the next one.
Amazing. So is there anything you're specifically looking forward to at the next conference? You'll be presenting again, right?
I hope so. And the thing I'm waiting for the most is the program. I really want to see who the other speakers are going to be. I really look forward to speaking myself.
Amazing, thanks. Thank you for such an insightful discussion. It's amazing to me to see how triple entry accounting and blockchain tech have this potential to transform accounting and financial transparency. To all our listeners, don't forget that the second Triple Entry Accounting Conference is happening on April the 25th to 26th, 2025 in Malta. Visit tconf.org for tickets and details. Thanks so much, Juan, and thanks for tuning in to TConf Talks. Be sure to join us in the next episode when we'll have more great topics. See you then.